me recognize and congratulate the work that Aline and the team of Media Impact are doing and continue to do for us. When I first met Aline, I was taken with the passion, the determination, the commitment, the drive to do what he had done before and to see it continue. And his first experience with the St. Lucian public, I guess, but beyond forestry and the parrot and everything else, was with the social marketing program he was driving called Apiclazy. And that was a tremendous success. And that, for those who have heard it then, still resounds in the minds of the persons today and certainly changed attitudes. One of the things we found recently through a knowledge, attitudes and practices survey that we did through a particular project at the OECD Secretariat was to gauge the awareness, recognition of the role of biodiversity in the minds of the general public. And we found very, very interestingly that some of our traditional messengers were not trusted. We recognize also that we have to find ways and means of getting to our general publics, our target groups, right through our entire society, but in a way that creates resonance with them, something with which they can identify, and something that will help change their attitudes to the business as usual approach, to the way we treat our biodiversity resources and everything else. I mean, we are faced with so many issues today: climate change impacts, the drought that created the trauma for us, the having to ration our water supplies. We were caught in a situation that we had not previously experienced, and that was, I think, very revealing that for those of us or pundits elsewhere who prefer not to believe in the impacts of climate change, we are feeling the impacts on a yearly basis. Notwithstanding the fact that we had no hurricanes last year, 2009, it may not be the same this year. We still would like 2009 to continue into the future. The reality is, if we think of 2004 and Hurricanes David and Emily 9 months later and all those we've had afterwards, and all the volcanic eruptions and earthquakes all over the world, we have issues to deal with. It's our collective responsibility, and not for those of us who are here today, because I think we are all the converted. We have to reach everyone out there in our various societies to get on board with a stewardship attitude that would help us do for our resources and ourselves what needs to be done to enhance our quality of life. And with the example of the little wave and we are the ocean, and I'm thinking, as you said so, said speaker from Media Impact, that we are the world. You remember the song? We are truly the world. And this is what we need to carry with us, the message we need to carry with us to our communities as we go back to our respective countries and begin to enroll or roll out what we have produced, what we've designed from this workshop. Our work continues, and it's not a matter of doing this for the project's sake, or because Aline Regis and the team, and Sean and Rita and Len and everyone from Media Impact has said, this is what we have to do, and not because it's driven from external sources. It is our responsibility to drive those things ourselves. If we are here not because we were invited and this trip was paid for and we knew we'd have some fun, some little jazz and everything is happening at the same time, we are here because we're committed and we have a responsibility in our respective countries, communities, when we get back, to change the way we do business. And this is the message we need to carry back home with all of us. But the commitment, the drive to doing this has to remain with us. We need to convert this into action in other persons on the ground in our countries. But this is our challenge. It's a huge task, and hopefully Media Impact will be around and we can maybe leverage much more additional resources in terms of finances to drive the process, to support the various activities that we will pursue, we will design in time, and to make a change. We really need to do this because, after all, we are the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that to you that 2010 has been declared International Year of Biological Diversity, and St. Lucia joined the rest of the world in the observance of such an important event. Under the theme, biodiversity is life, biodiversity is our life. The preservation of our biodiversity is critical to our very existence. Yes, yet it is often ignored and people take the natural environment for granted. Issues such as indiscriminate cutting down of forests, indiscriminate clearing of large patches of land and burning of debris for residential and other uses, polluting of our rivers and streams with garbage, the indiscriminate use of chemicals and pesticides, pollution of our marine resources by the dumping of toxic chemicals and other pollutants into our oceans. All of these activities add to the fact that we are losing our biodiversity at an alarming rate. Now let me make it very clear. We are not sending a message that do not develop. We are simply saying that we need to recognize the services provided by biodiversity, where all the parts of the ecosystem act as one unit to give us food, medicines, climate regulation, pollination, regulation of soil and wave erosion, nurseries for fisheries, and that the extinction of our biodiversity would result in the expanding of huge sums of monies to replace these services, that is, if they can be replaced at all. In a developing country like St. Lucia, with limited financial resources, the best policy is preservation. I am particularly pleased to see the involvement of PCI Media Impact in this collaborative effort. It is collaborative efforts like this that could really bear fruits when several persons from different countries come together with one goal in mind: the preservation of the environment, the preservation of our biodiversity. If St. Lucia should do it on its own, what happens in St. Vincent will affect us. If St. Lucia and St. Vincent should do it, two of them together, what happens in Miami could affect us. And so that is why it is good for us to collaborate together. And people coming from different countries, if everybody and most persons from different countries should come together, we will be able to fight that battle and win that battle. But it calls for a collaborative effort. And so I want to thank Media Impact for being here today with us, and the role that you're playing will not go unnoticed. We are reminded of our project to save the St. Lucia Parrot, where just a few men from the forestry department who were determined, led by the great Coco Charles, they came together, put a project together, went to the schools, and were very effective. And I'm very happy to say to you today, from an all-time low of less than 150 parrots, the latest census indicates that we have very much over 3,000 parrots in the wild today. And that's the success story. It is our hope that you will continue to work on this line and to spread the message around the island and around the world that biodiversity is life, biodiversity is our life. And as the national focal point for the Convention on Biological Diversity, and as the government agency responsible for natural resources in this country, I want to give my ministry's full commitment to conserving our biological resources, and to call on all St. Lucians and people of the Caribbean and people all over the world to do their part in this worldwide movement to reduce and possibly eliminate biodiversity loss.